we will move on to an article at rightedition.com entitled Ancient Egyptians Grand Canyon, written by staff. And it begins, Ancient Egyptians Grand Canyon. This Egyptian tunnel city was named Kinkaid's Cave for G.E. Kinkaid, who first entered the cave when he was working for S.A. Jordan of the Smithsonian Institution. Visitors were restricted from entering Kinkaid's Cave after the Grand Canyon National Park Act was signed by President Woodrow Wilson 10 years later. It is now guarded, as well as other archaeological sites in the Grand Canyon. G.E. Kinkaid served in the Marine Corps. After retiring, he worked for S.A. Jordan as an archaeological assistant. S.A. Jordan was sent to the Grand Canyon by the Smithsonian Institution to investigate the information that was reported by John Wesley Powell. The tunnel is presently on the cliff wall, 395 feet above the present flow of the Colorado River in the Grand Canyon. Archaeologists estimate the man-made cavern is around 3,000 years old. It's over 500 feet long and has several cross tunnels to large chambers. This was the lowest level and last Egyptian tunnel city built in the Grand Canyon. And since I've read all this before, yes, all this looks like it's from the article. So we're just moving on to an article. See, I vet nothing, as my loyal viewers already know. Nothing is vetted on this channel. But here's an article by Joshua Smith at joshuadsmith1.medium.com entitled The Enduring Mystery of Ancient Egyptians in the Grand Canyon. A little over 100 years ago, a scintillating story was published in an Arizona newspaper, the Gazette, which claimed that an extraordinary discovery had taken place in the Grand Canyon. If you have not already, you can read the article here, and there's a link. In order for you to understand what I'm doing in this article, it's imperative that you read or follow along with the original article. Artifacts dating back thousands of years were found inside a cave carved into the upper reaches of the Grand Canyon. Stunningly, these artifacts were suggestive of Old World contacts, and if confirmed, would rewrite much of what we think we know about both the history of the Americas and the history of Egypt. But was the story true? And how can we know? In 1909, 1 year after the Tunguska incident, Arizona's second-largest newspaper published a front-page, full-spread article about explorations in the Grand Canyon. These explorations had turned up what were referred to as Orient-style artifacts, which resembled Egyptians and Mongolian forms. The site was located by a man called G.E. Kinkaid, who purportedly had been traveling down a series of river systems and stopping to photograph nature along the way. He claimed to have been on the lookout for minerals, a well-known euphemism at that time for gold. Coincidentally, President Roosevelt, the first one, had made the extraction of gold from the Grand Canyon illegal. During Kinkaid's travels, he noticed stains high up in the canyon on the wall and decided to inspect further. He clambered up the canyon and eventually discovered the entrance to a cavern that turned out to be, per his testimony provided to the paper, a massive underground citadel. Kinkaid made a brief preliminary incursion and discovered a number of ancient relics, and sent a few samples back to his peripatetic employer. No idea what that means. The Smithsonian Institute. Upon receiving his missive and the items, the Smithsonian dispatched a more senior archaeologist called S.A. Jordan to lead an expensive investigation. Jordan apparently arrived rapidly, but with only a small team. Rather quickly, Kinkaid was ready to reveal the information to the press. The tale related was extraordinary, but delivered in the most matter-of-fact way. The article was meant to announce initial discoveries and to assure everyone that appropriate follow-up would take place. There was never any follow-up to the 2 original Gazette stories. Yeah, there's one earlier. There was one story published in the Gazette earlier, not a front page, about Kinkaid's travel down the Colorado River. Just a paragraph or 2 or 3. The amazing nature of this story would seem to demand a follow-up. The story was republished in 2 other newspapers without any additional information or commentary, including the Jerome Mining News. And just like that, the story disappeared for decades. Was it buried? Was there a cover-up? Considering these articles were written 111 and 112 years ago, respectively, as of this writing in 2020, writes the author, trying to put together how it came about and what went on afterward has been difficult. Many answers have emerged on individual aspects, but new questions and puzzles have come about as well. Caving or spelunking is now illegal in the Grand Canyon and has been for a long time. Moreover, if the entrance has been gated, as have dozens of caves in the Grand Canyon already, no one could get in far enough to know, short of someone breaking into it. Even today, only a few caves can be accessed, and those require special research permission. The theories. First, I will cover the negative approaches, the debunker or skeptic positions. But taken together, the negative claims are just that, claims. They are assertions without proof. Many are bereft of any support or evidence at all. The negative claims amount to little more than attempts to dismiss without thought or investigation. The author writes, I decided to look into each and to hone to the evidence. The time period concerned, social expectations at the time, the way newspaper articles were written at the time, and what was or was not common for the Gazette itself. It was just here that I found the flaws with the debunker approach. They refuse to ask basic, serious questions. They refuse to engage in research. Sadly, this often goes across the board on other alternative topics as well. They operate off of their opinions, their assumptions, and their knee-jerk reactions. Quote, this can't be true, I would have heard about it, end quote, is a terrible place to start. It's best to dust off those assumptions, take the articles for what they are, and interrogate the claims made in it. What can be confirmed? What can be double-checked? Which factual claims are the most critical? Because clearly not all are of equal value. Leaving you on a cliffhanger. A cliffhanger, get it?